witness, I guess. I'm not sure what the full story is. So we're going to wait on the audience to build just a couple more minutes here. Hey, Tony. And then I'm trying to decide what to start with. I think we'll start with some good news because I like good news. All right, so let's get right to it. First and foremost, we had this great news that came out yesterday that ExxonMobil is actually going to be investing over $20 billion, over $20 billion in the American economy. They're going to be creating more than 45,000 jobs, including about, I think it was 11 or 12,000 jobs that are permanent. They're not just construction jobs, they're permanent, and they will be paying well over $100,000 a person on average. So these are high-quality jobs, primarily concentrated in places like Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas. They're particularly interested in shale oil and some exploration there. But it's concentrated in the Gulf region, and these are high quality jobs. Barack Obama and Democrats like to say, Obama's created millions of jobs during his administration. Well, yeah, if you're happy working at a Jamba Juice, or if you're happy, working at a Foot Locker, I'm not knocking these jobs. Somebody's got to do it. But if you're in one of these jobs, unless you're a manager, you're not clearing enough money to support a family. Not in this day and age. I mean, it's too expensive, and particularly in a place like New York, but everywhere. And so, what Trump was always talking about is that, yeah, Obama's created some jobs, okay, or some jobs have been created under him, but they're low-paying jobs, a lot of part-time jobs that you cannot use to sustain a family. And so what Trump's focused on is returning a lot of these manufacturing jobs here to the United States, investing in high-quality energy jobs that pay well. They pay their people well. These Exxon jobs, $100,000 goes pretty far in a place like Louisiana. It really does, even in a big city like New Orleans. $100,000 goes pretty far. If you're working on that kind of income, you're living a really good middle class, stable life, and and working for a company like ExxonMobil, that they're not going anywhere. And so these aren't fly-by-night companies. These aren't fly-by-night jobs. These aren't part-time jobs filled by some high school student. These are jobs that you can raise a family on. And so that's what MAGA is all about. They're manufacturing and construction jobs focused on energy by ExxonMobil. It's over a $20 billion investment that they're expanding the timeline on. They're expanding the amount they're raising, and they're expanding the number of permanent jobs. So thank you, Mr. President, for all that you're doing. That's the kind of story that I love to report on. I mean, and think about how many we've had since Donald Trump won the election. Even before he took the oath of office. I mean, this guy was pounding the pavement, reaching out to CEOs, not just in the United States, but around the world, to say, hey, America's open for business. Bring your money here. Bring your jobs here. We will be a competitive environment. And he's doing it. So, and speaking of being a competitive environment, we got to fix this healthcare system. We do. As somebody that's had to make payroll before for businesses, as somebody that's I've seen the cost of healthcare. When I was running my consulting firm in D.C., we employed a good number of people, and we had to pay for their health insurance, and it was expensive. I think it worked out to it's like $500 or $600 a month per person, and that was just for one person. If you had a family, it's even more, right? And so it's really, really expensive. If you have hundreds of thousands of employees and you're having to carry these costs, now depending on the type of plan you have, the costs vary. But that's what we were dealing with, and it can put a business out of business. And so we need to fix the Obamacare mandate, because the problem is that it required far too many employers to carry coverage for all of their employees. Even an employee that's running a food processor, somebody that's who was working part-time, but then they want to get to 40 hours a week, and they can only get to 39 because the employer doesn't want to have to pay for their health care. So that means that they're not getting enough hours to sustain themselves, and so it hurts job creation also. Obamacare was a totally misguided concept. It was focused on jamming as many people into this funnel of the healthcare system as possible. The right course of action, and what Donald Trump is doing, is saying, okay, everybody wants health insurance, or everybody wants high quality healthcare. Okay, everybody wants that, but I think most people do. What they don't want, or what they can't afford, are the high costs. So he's saying, instead of jamming people, instead of requiring people to buy expensive healthcare, we're going to reduce the costs. And the first step of that, is starting really yesterday. And so the House GOP and the Senate GOP, they released their first look at the bill that we're going to get. Now, it's important. I want to say this. This is not a one-size-fits-all solution. This is going to be, as Trump said on Twitter today. What did he say? He said this is step 1 of 3. All right, it's going to take a few. Obamacare is such a big, winding mess that Donald Trump knows that it's going to take a couple of phases to get this thing right. So this is phase 1. All right, and in phase 1, we're going to repeal the mandate. He's already done it with an executive order, so that the IRS will not enforce a penalty if you do not carry health insurance that you can't afford. So, but they're going to make that permanent with this bill. That's number 1. Number 2 is they're going to offer tax credits to people who are self-employed or do not get health insurance through their employer. Okay, so that we will give you a tax credit so that you can go out and you can buy health insurance if you want to, or you can put that into an HSA or whatever you want. So step 3 is funding for HSA. So you have this health savings account, so that if you need to rely on that for unexpected healthcare costs, which happen in life, right? You don't know when they're going to happen, but it's not a bad idea to have a health savings account there that the government's not going to tax, and it's just sitting there so that you can utilize it. When the worst happens, God forbid, knock on wood. The third is phasing out of Medicaid subsidies at the federal level. And what they're doing here is very humane. People are not going to lose their health care overnight. They're going to phase this out over the course of 3 years. So by 2020, this is going to be phased out. This is the way to do it. I mean, hats off. I mean, you had the House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Kevin Brady, who's a Republican from Texas. He said, "We've been listening very carefully to our Republican members for months now to make sure that we get it right. I'm confident that we are going to pass this." So, I mean, that's good to hear. I like to hear this sort of optimism. Speaker Paul Ryan, who I'm honestly not a big fan of because I don't trust him, because I've seen how he stabbed Donald Trump in the back so many times. But as long as he gets the job done, that's all I care about. Okay. This isn't personal to me. It's politics, business. Let's just get stuff done for the American people. And he said that Obamacare is rapidly collapsing, and he vowed, "We are going to pass this GOP plan, and we will give every American access to quality, affordable health insurance." He said, Ryan continued, "Working together, this unified Republican government will deliver relief and peace of mind to the millions of Americans suffering under Obamacare. This will proceed through a transparent process." What a stark contrast that is, a transparent progress, or a transparent process. Now, contrast that with Nancy Pelosi saying we need to pass the bill, the ACA, the Obamacare, to find out what's in it. We're not going to do that here. So he said this process will go down in regular order in full view of the public. The tax credits that are going to be offered, just so you know, the GOP plan for this ranges from $2,000 to $4,000 per year per individual, and that increases with somebody's age. Now that makes sense, right? Because as you get older, or as I get older, or whatever, your healthcare costs increase, and so this is tied to that. So I mean, these tax credits will really benefit a lot of poor people that need healthcare that can't afford to buy it otherwise. Increasingly, Democrats like to play race-based politics with this, but there are more in raw numbers. There are more Caucasians in poverty than any other ethnicity in the country. So this is when we're helping poor people, which is which is in line with Judeo-Christian beliefs that our country was founded on. We're helping everybody. We're helping white people. We're helping Latinos. We're helping African Americans. We're helping Asians. Poverty doesn't know race. It's race blind. And so, and the Republicans are doing the right thing in trying to help everybody. And so these tax credits will help people afford health insurance that they otherwise couldn't. And it makes more sense. We're putting money back into people's pockets instead of asking them to. Am I going to get pulled over here? I don't know what the hell is going on. Excuse me, guys. We got the NYPD's coming up on me here. Maybe they're watching. They might be fans. So anyway, we'll see what happens with this. I feel very optimistic about how we're doing this. Trump had some good lines on this. He tweeted this morning. He said, "Don't worry, we're getting rid of the state lines too." This is something he promised on when he was running, because by removing the state lines, there will be cross-state competition. So, for instance, I'm sitting in New York right now. There might be a cheaper health care plan available in New Jersey or Delaware and Pennsylvania. Why should I only be able to shop health care plans based here in New York? I should be able to buy them across state lines. That will not be coming in phase 1. That will be coming in phase 2 and 3 of the healthcare rollout. So Donald is looking at this as we're going to take this thing one at a time. We're going to solve problems, and then we'll move on. So that was step 1. He also said that he's going to focus on increasing competition in terms of drugs. Anybody that's had to go out and buy medicine, I'm lucky that I've been healthy and haven't had to, but at some point in my life I probably will. But I know that drugs are far too expensive. And so he's working on a new system. This is what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump said, "I'm working on a new system where there will be competition in the drug industry. Pricing for the American people will come way down." So that will be in phase 2 and 3 as well. And just to reiterate this, he also said, "Our wonderful healthcare bill is now out for review and negotiation." That's a key word, negotiation. This is just the starting point. This is where this is where we're going to start. Where he's designing a 3-phase rollout here. There's only so much they can do in phase 1 because they're passing this bill through reconciliation. Now, what does reconciliation mean? For those of you that don't know, it's a process where you only need 50 senators, or 50 plus 1, but Pence would be the tiebreaker, senators to pass a piece of legislation. And so, that limits the scope of what they can do. They can only work on solutions that rectify the problems within Obamacare, they don't present big substantial changes to Obamacare in this reconciliation process. That will have those changes, things like removing the state lines, that will have to come in the 2nd and 3rd phase. So the bill is now out for review and negotiation. Obamacare is a complete and total disaster. It's imploding fast. Now, on that point, this is important. Why? Trump says this a lot. He says, if I were playing pure politics, I would stand by and I would let Obamacare totally collapse under its own weight, because it's a disaster that's bankrupting small businesses. It's a disaster that's costing big corporations way too much. It's a disaster that's bankrupting many families across the country. They can't afford their own health insurance. It's a burden on them. If he were playing pure politics, he would stand by and let this happen. He would stand by and say, let's let this implode. The Democrats and Obama will own this, and then when people are clamoring for a better solution, we'll come up and we'll be the white knights and we'll say, yeah, look, we told you so. But he doesn't want to do that because far too many Americans are going to be hurt in the process. Far too many. So he's doing the right and humane thing. And to be honest, I can tell you, being a registered Democrat, being somebody that worked in Democratic politics, who's advised many campaigns, I don't think the Democrats would do the same thing. I firmly believe that the Democrats would stand by and let this thing implode, and because they know that they can achieve the most in disastrous scenarios. What was that Rahm Emanuel quote? He said, let no disaster go on. I can't remember. You guys will have to tell me what the quote was. But Emanuel was he realized that in situations of disaster, of disrepair, of panic, that you can leverage those situations to ramrod through your legislation. And that's largely what they did in the first few hundred days of Barack Obama's administration. Donald's not going to do that. He's going to be much more responsible. So, let's wrap up this healthcare thing. You also had Representative Greg Walden of Oregon. He's a Republican. He said that the bill is a good first step towards healthcare reform, and he noted that more will be done later. They said that the bill will offer patient-centered solutions that will provide Americans with access to affordable, quality health care, promote innovation, and offer peace of mind to those with pre-existing conditions. If you have a pre-existing condition and you got health care under Obamacare, we're not going to take your health care away, okay? All right? The Democrats have lied to you for a long time. They said if you have pre-existing conditions, Donald Trump's going to take your health care away from you. He's not going to do it. He's not doing it. It's a lie. That's fake news that was propagated by the mainstream media throughout the entire election, despite the fact that Donald Trump stood up in Republican debates and he said, if you're sick, if you have a pre-existing condition, we're not going to let you die in the streets here in the United States of America. We are going to take care of you. He stood up and he said that, but you never hear that from the mainstream media. You can go. We will put the clip up on social media so that you can see this. It was one of the most remarkable moments that I've seen. This is the thing with Trump. He has moments where there are just glimpses of his potential greatness. I said this the other day on the Walk and Talk. Donald Trump was a great campaigner. He was a great businessman. He's the president of the United States. He's not yet a great president of the United States. I think that he's on his way, and we see glimpses of his greatness. We saw it last week. We saw it on a week ago today. We saw him stand up in Congress and give the best speech I've ever seen in that setting, ever. You can go back and study the footage. It was the best speech I've seen in that setting. We have glimpses like that. We have glimpses like in the debates of a great president of the United States, and I believe that he's on his way there. And the bar is not super high after the last guy, who was a total and complete disaster. But but let's talk about before I wrap up on the Obamacare repeal. I wanted to just talk about how quickly this is going to happen. This first piece is going before the Ways and Means Committee and the let's see, what is the other committee? The Health and Human Services Committee. That will go before both committees tomorrow, I believe. It's Wednesday, and then they're expected to have a vote on this within the next week and a half. So we're going to have a repeal and replacement of Obamacare, I would say, based on what I'm reading from Capitol Hill, within the next 2 weeks. Now, there are a lot of conservatives that are dragging their feet. I saw this with, the congressman from my home district in South Carolina, Mark Sanford, he's that guy that he was the governor of South Carolina at the time, and he ran away with a mistress in Argentina, totally embarrassed everybody. He was using state funds. He says he's a fiscal conservative, but he was using state funds to go and visit his mistress. Anyway, so this guy has stood up, and he's been one of the people that has been a detractor to this kind of legislation. I don't know what they want from Trump. They wanted a repeal and replacement of Obamacare. He's giving it to them. So they might drag their feet, but I'm telling you right now, if any conservatives in the House and the Senate get in the way of this and they can't pass a replacement because of them, they're gone. They're gone. When re-election time comes up, people are going to primary them, and they're gone. So let's get this repeal and replacement going, and that's it. The next thing I wanted I think that's pretty much it. All we need is 50 votes there. I would be surprised. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if some Democrats cross over. Somebody like Joe Manchin, he knows what a disaster Obamacare is for his people, for his constituents back in West Virginia. He's a good, solid guy. He's a Democrat like me. He's reasonable. He's a reasonable guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he crosses over and votes for this. The only reason he wouldn't do it is because if he's getting political pressure from Democrats, which I assure you he is. The next thing that I wanted to go to is, let's talk about Obama's persecution of the media. Okay? This is one of the great ironies that I just don't understand. Since Nixon, there probably hasn't been a president of the United States that has been so aggressive in his attacks on the media personally than Barack Obama. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Because Donald Trump criticizes the media all the time, right? And they deserve to be criticized. Well, during the Obama years, there were many reporters that were personally targeted not by Obama's operatives, but by people in the federal government. The Obama administration leveraged the power and the purse of the United States government to target reporters that they didn't like. They did this to people at Fox News, and they did this to people at CBS, and they did this to people at the AP and elsewhere. Now, one of the things I don't understand is if Barack Obama was so nasty to people in the media, why did they love him so much? And they were. Here's this Fox reporter. I don't know if you saw this article on DML on DennisMcLynch.com. Rosen. He went back and he told his story about how he wrote a piece on North Korea. Barack Obama didn't like it. It was critical and revealed some information. And so in 2013, Barack Obama had Attorney General Eric Holder sign off on a personal communication wiretap on the Fox News correspondent. They designated him a potential criminal co-conspirator and a flight risk under the Espionage Act. And it was all because Rosen wrote some critical pieces on the Obama administration as it relates to North Korea, and and even Eric Holder, in hindsight, regrets this. Apparently, he said that the whereabouts. He said Holder said one of his biggest regrets from his tenure at the State Department was doing this to James Rosen. He said that it was probably illegal and unprecedented. So God Almighty, and this is saying a lot because when Holder was the AG, we had the Fast and Furious, we had all kinds of scandals that the Obama administration got away with, but this wasn't the only case. I mean, you also had you had some cases at the AP, but there was this really amazing example of it, and it happened at CBS News. And it's amazing because CBS News didn't stand behind their person. When that happened to James Rosen at Fox News stood behind their reporter. Now, what I'm about to tell you is that this woman, Cheryl Atkinson at CBS, when she was targeted by the Obama administration, CBS stabbed her in the back, and they started defending the Obama administration at her expense. And so Cheryl was writing a piece on the Obama administration. It was critical of Obama. She was investigating the Benghazi. So she was investigating Hillary Clinton at the State Department and the Obama administration's role in it, and Susan Rice's role in it when she was the National Security Advisor. And so Cheryl says that her CBS laptop was hacked after she began filing stories about Benghazi that were unflattering to the Obama administration. And a source who checked her laptop said that the hacker, apparently the administration, leveraged the intelligence community to hack her computer, used proprietary software that was unique to the United States government. And she said that this is outrageous. She said, quote, Cheryl said, quote, "This is outrageous, worse than anything that Nixon did. I wouldn't have believed something like this could have happened in the United States of America." And she continued, "As I was typing and working on questions for a Benghazi-related story, the data started wiping, kind of like at hyperspeed, being deleted, as if my computer had been hijacked and I had no control over it. I know because I had so many anomalies over the past year and a half to 2 years that someone was interfering with my computer. It was described to me by a computer expert, a consultant that I reached out to afterwards, that this was purely an attempt to let me know that they could do whatever they wanted, and that they were watching everything that I was doing on my computer." And she said, "Many in the media were wrestling with their own souls. They know that Obamacare is in serious trouble, but they're conflicted about reporting that." This is, and she goes on to talk about how when she brought this up to people at CBS, when she brought this up to the bigwigs at CBS News, they didn't believe her. They looked at what the computer experts wrote, even people that worked for CBS News that were saying, "Yeah, she's been hacked, and apparently she's the target of the intelligence community." They basically ran her out of the business. They said, "Well, you shouldn't be reporting on this." So this is what happens. Apparently it's okay as long as a Democrat does it to the media. If Donald Trump had done a fraction of this, if he was targeting people in the media using the full faith, credit, purse, capabilities of the United States federal government to wiretap and hack reporters, can you imagine what people would be saying? They would be burning down the Capitol. I mean, it would be mass. If you think the Democrats and the media are hysterical right now, if Donald Trump did what Barack Obama did to people in the media, it would be so much worse. So the last thing is that it was actually a happy story. If you go to DennisMichaelLynch.com, we're getting up this video right now. Trump was walking around the White House, and today was the first day of tour groups being allowed back into the White House. And there were a bunch of school groups there and a bunch of little kids running around, and he made a surprise visit to them. It was great. They were screaming for him. These kids, I don't know where they're from. They must be from, a red state or something, but these kids were screaming. They were so excited, and one little boy ran up to him and hugged him. It's a great video. You have to go to DennisMichaelLynch.com and click on that story. It was a great little video. It shows you that there's still a lot of patriotism. There's still a lot of excitement around President Donald Trump, and when you watch these stories that the mainstream media does on kids and their reaction to Donald Trump, it's always them crying or sobbing. Is Donald Trump going to send my mommy away? Or is Donald Trump an evil man? Yeah, that's the kind of stuff they run with. But if you watch this video, it was a big school group of 40 kids or something like that, and they were so excited to see the President of the United States. That is an authentic reaction from kids, because you know that not every child there has Democratic parents. You know that. I believe firmly that that's the unfiltered view of how kids react to seeing a great man like Donald Trump and to be in his presence. Whereas these stories that you see in the media of these kids being interviewed, they're being coached by their parents, they're being coached by producers, they're being coached by whoever is interviewing them. The authentic reaction is on DennisMichaelLynch.com. You got to watch this video. So anyway, it's great to be with you guys, and I'll be with you soon. Dennis is doing some important work, as I told some of you guys. He is out west. He's shooting some footage for a documentary, and he'll be back really soon. He also has some stuff to do out there in the Bundy trial. So more coming very soon. Stay with us. You guys probably saw yesterday that we were doing some testing from the studio. We just are doing some technology checks. We're checking how the cameras are wired, how the live streaming works from the mixer that we have, because you have to keep in mind that while I'm doing one camera here, and this is rough, this isn't anything super professional, in our studio we're going to have 5 cameras, 2 of them automated, 3 of them fixed, that a cameraman will have to move around or they'll stay in their place. This guy wants me to move. I'm getting run off by a bus driver. I don't know what his deal is. So anyway, so we have some really professional stuff going. This guy is a jerk. I don't know what his problem is. I'm not in his way. Anyway, so we have some really professional stuff coming up. Cannot wait to share it with you guys. It's going to be really cool. I think we're going to probably start doing some quick live shows out of the estate very soon, so you guys will see exactly what we have in mind for this for the shows that we're producing. We're also going to do a nightly show that will probably be released around 8:30 every night that Dennis will host, and I can't wait to share that with you guys. I'm going to be helping produce a lot of the content for that. I'm going to be with him every night. We're going to have some debates. We're going to have some Skype interviews, and we'll have interviews at the sofa as well. So we're going to produce, really high quality stuff. If you want to see more of it, as I tell you guys every day, go to DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate. We're almost done building out the studio, so we need you guys to help us get over the hump. We need a little bit more money. If it's $5, $10, $15, $50, $100, whatever you can afford. Don't give more than you can afford, but if you can afford to give something, please do. We spend every dollar responsibly. We just have a couple more things to buy, and I believe if Dennis is back soon, we will start broadcasting out of the studio March 15th. So that is about a week away. So it's really exciting, and we're moving fast. Also, don't forget to download the app. It's It's on the iOS App Store, on the Android Google Play Store. Just search for DennisMichaelLynch.com. And obviously, if you can't give, or if you've already downloaded the app, don't forget, the number one way that we fund this is through the existing website, DennisMichaelLynch.com. So go there, read some great articles, keep up with everything that we're doing, and if you see an ad that you like, click on it. And